Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel Zee.Talks. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody who watched my previous video and every single person that liked and commented, and a big shout out to my YouTube subscribers. A big shout out to everybody that shared the video. I see you. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into today's video. Before we move on, let's have a quick recap about what we discussed in our previous video. In our last video, we discussed the top 4 mental health challenges or concerns, with the 5th one not necessarily being a challenge but rather a realization. Where you had to choose 3 of the 5. I did a short survey through my comments and on Instagram. These are the results that I came up. So let's jump straight to number 1. Now, the first and one of the biggest mental health concerns that we're all likely to come across during this entire chaotic coronavirus situation, and as voted by you guys in my comments and as well as the poll, is fear. When encountered with the fear of failure, the fear of uncertainty, the fear of the future, what's going to happen in the future, the fear of becoming less relevant, I can imagine the fear that people are going through thinking about losing their jobs. I can imagine the fear that students are thinking about when it comes to their academic years, their semesters, what's going to happen to their studies and their future. I personally am susceptible to fear. Like I mentioned in my previous video, I'm not speaking to you like I know something that you don't know. I am simply reflecting on my own life and sharing how I'm putting things into perspective. In the midst of this, I realized how much power we give to fear and other people. We self-quarantine, put our plans, our ambitions, our goals under lockdown. It seems like a safety issue, but actually it's not. It is simply fear. However, the good news is you can choose how this fear affects you. What settles the difference is simply how you react to fear. There's a famous quote that says, you can either forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. So how should you react to fear during this coronavirus outbreak? That's a tough question. And the simple answer to that is, it depends on you. I'm saying it depends on you because we are all different and we all have different ways to react to things. Some people might not even be affected by this coronavirus outbreak mentally. So it's simply up to you. Despite all of my fears and uncertainties, this is what I think. Fear is simply a reality created in our own mind to limit our potential, if you look at it from a more philosophical point of view. So considering the fact that fear is in my mind and uncertainty is in my mind, I remembered why I love doing this and finally decided to share this video in the hopes that it will help somebody out there. I am going to share how I'm personally dealing with this fear in my life. So before I jump right into that, I spoke to a few friends of mine that I had in my last video. So let's speak to Edgar and hear what he has to say, how he deals with this.
What I've been doing a lot lately is like, I've been writing jokes and all this stuff. I don't know if you saw my status,
Yeah, check. Yeah.
I do karaoke sometimes with Trace,
Yeah.
And if you don't have Trace, you can go with any other channel that's playing music,
Yeah.
Try and sing all the songs, like later on you're gonna see yourself dancing and going wild. And if I'm not doing that, I'm working out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I'm not working out, I have this thing where I don't really annoy the people in my house, but I kind of prank them. And just the small stuff that keep you busy is like what you do. And I've also been reading a book for the longest time, because unfortunately for some of us, we don't read books like in a few weeks like other people. We take time. So I've also been reading a book for the longest time. So I try and switch it up, not to get too bored,
How do I personally deal with fear, anxiety, and stress? I can't help but agree with Edgar, man. I mean, I basically do the same. I try to remain positive and I try to keep myself busy. But the first and most important thing that I try to do is accept. Acceptance is key. When you accept that the coronavirus outbreak is out of your control, it has happened and there's nothing that you can do to reverse that, it frees you. acceptance is key, because when you stop worrying about things that are out of your control, do you know just how much energy it takes, how much stress it brings when you invest yourself in the entire pandemic situation that's out of your control? So that's the first thing that I do. Acceptance. I can't change this. How can I react to it in order to improve my environment? So that's what I do. And it has its benefits. It has benefits such as I don't get to worry about that. I don't get to stress. I simply am in a very positive environment, unbothered, and this gives me the chance to read a page of a book, gives me the chance to read books here and there. It gives me the chance to work on my scripts. It gives me the chance to do TikTok videos. It gives me the beautiful opportunity to stay connected with my people. I do phone calls, we laugh a lot, and this is the benefit of acceptance. This is the benefit of staying positive and keeping yourself busy. You don't get to worry about the number of cases that are increasing in Namibia. You don't get to worry about who has coronavirus outbreak. You don't have to worry about the entire lockdown situation, because you're busy and you're living in the present. And I just don't watch the news. And I wouldn't urge anybody to keep watching the news, because I think we all know that the situation might probably not end really soon. Number of cases keep rising. So I wouldn't urge anybody to fill their mind with negativity, which is likely to bring anxiety and stress. So don't watch the news. Just live in the present and keep yourself busy. Try to stay positive. That's how Edgar and I try to deal with it. Works for us, might just work for you. And now in second place, and is voted by you guys, is grieving for a lost sense of normalcy. Now it is not quite often that we all get to grieve at the same time with everybody across the globe. Such is the power of the novel coronavirus and the way in which it has flipped our lives upside down. While many of us might have been feeling frightened and anxious in the recent weeks, it will be quite fair to say that what majority of us are experiencing is grief. Not necessarily grief of losing a loved one, but grief of not being able to do the things that we usually do. Things like not being able to participate in meaningful work, not being able to engage socially with friends and family, or simply not being able to move around freely as we please. I use the term grief because these are all serious losses, and this is why grieving for normalcy, or grieving for things to go back to normal, is second place. Let's head over to a video call I had with Elia, and let's hear how he's trying to cope with the new normal.
It's quite simple for me because this is actually something that I've been practicing even when I was on holidays or when I took leave. Understand?
Yeah.
So what I do is I keep my weekly routine. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I keep my alarm on. I don't snooze my alarm. And this is actually a concept that I actually learned from a book that I've read. Actually, I'm currently reading, which is something that happens with your brain when you snooze your alarm. Yes, it's to keep my weekly routine going. I don't snooze my alarm. I wake up the usual time that I used to wake up when I was usually going to work. So in that sense, I don't get. Now, when I start working, maybe after 1 month, I don't get to struggle to get in the whole working vibe. Waking up early, whatever.
And there you have it. Yep, I really cannot help but agree with Elia. Spot on. I think in difficult times like this, you need to have some sort of flow in what you do at home when you're self-quarantining. You need to have a specific routine that you go about every day. You need to have a plan that you stick to in order for things not to feel like you shouldn't feel like you've shifted from your normal life and now you have to adapt a new life. That's when it gets hard, and that's when you start grieving for things to go back to normal. But once you have a systematic way of doing things, once you have a plan and you start sticking to that plan, and you don't get to miss your old way of doing things. I even drew up a small timetable with different tasks on different days to help me simplify my routine. Sounds simple, but trust me, it helps. And then lastly, the mental health concern voted in the third place is human connection is not an option but a necessity. Now, the novel coronavirus is a thief. Among the things that it snatches away is connections that feel passion, contentment, and all other variations of love. Cities have been silenced, places of worship have been locked down, families are being separated, and in my country, Namibia, we all noticed when the lockdown was announced, people packed their bags and they started traveling back to their hometowns, and people that were out of Windhoek traveled back to Windhoek. For most people, it was to be closer to their loved ones, to their family, and that is the clear demonstration that we need human connection. So how do I deal with this? Well, let's just say that I simply understand and I'm aware. You know, one of the amazing things about our human species is that over time we have become very creative. We evolve and we adapt, and this is what we really need to rely upon during this difficult time. To find creative and innovative ways to stay connected even when we are not in the same place. Video calls, like I call my friends, should be the in thing now more than ever. TikTok, YouTube videos, all of these innovatives should be used now more than ever in order to stay connected with our loved ones even when we can't be together all the time with our friends. The coronavirus is slowly changing our traditions and way of doing things. The handshake seems to me like is slowly phasing out. When we meet at the grocery store, we don't shake hands no more. We use the elbow. So we have to be aware that we will adopt and evolve and come out of this thing better. So that's one way of dealing with it. And that brings me to the end of my YouTube video. And remember that these are hard times, and coming across these mental concerns is just a normal part of us. And again, we are only human. So take care of yourself, take care of everybody around you. Remember to stay positive, stay present, and do whatever lifts your spirit. And remember that nothing lasts forever, not even the coronavirus. And before you leave, I also want to know, what are you doing during this self-isolation, lockdown, quarantine period whatsoever? What are you doing about your fears, your anxiety, and how are you coping with this? Please let me know in my comment section. So until then, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you do subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this video if you liked it, and share. So until next time, I'll see you. Stay safe. Peace.